producers. Welcome to the SPAnonMusicSchool of Music, where music education is prominent. We are glad to be able to serve the producer community with yet another lesson. And in today's lesson, we will explore the hard Toronto Drake trap style with the faster BPM. And we will basically show you how to compose the music and how it's made, go inside the theory of the music, inside of the beat, the determining factors, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So as you guys know, the key to composition, as I continue to teach you guys, is developing the tonal center, understanding the tonal center, and controlling the tonal center. And then within the tonal center, you then may shade in how you please, and you can dictate, where the composition goes, and so on and so forth. So some of the first things you want to do in this particular style, like I said, it's a faster, Drake trap style. So obviously you want to have the BPM set up. Here we have it at 172. So it's a very, very fast pace. I have definitely been dealing with the tempo maybe further before anyone else was. If you going back to 2015 is the year which I composed the instrumental for Nan Nigga for Tyga. So check that out, and there you will find the BPM is 172. So I've been doing that back in 2015. So you got your BPM set. Now about the tonal center, let's talk really quickly about the advantages of why you should approach music in this type of way. So if I were to, I guess, just highlight the scales, and you pick the scale out and then put the ghost notes in, then you kind of pick a scale out and you're going to click in the notes and hopefully try to find something cool or a melody or some sort. All of this is you're kind of just taking a shot in the dark. So here with the development of the skill set of understanding tonal center and having music theory, you're kind of able to just control everything from the jump. Therefore, you can do whatever you want. So there will be no limitations. So an example would be, as I'm picking out a key for this particular beat, I don't have to force myself into a key and then adhere to the scale and just try to click in notes. What I can then do is turn to the keyboard itself, and I can explore the particular instrument from the VST that we're using. So if you pull up a sound, you can explore kind of what key the instrument sounds best in. Not every sound sounds good in every key. So I know that some people think, well, I can click in my notes and then I can just drag it up or down. But in the same token, when you play a melody in a certain octave, there's a certain finger weight that you're using because it'll sound good and goes together with that particular octave of that key. When you get to changing keys, you would like if it goes up higher, you're going to play it a little softer because of the way the keyboard works. The higher frequencies come out to be louder. So if you have a melody and you get to moving it up and down and stuff like that, it's just not going to exactly sound as good as it would if you were playing the melody in different keys and stuff. So we encourage you guys to continue to learn music and learn an instrument, in particular the keyboard, since that is what is used within the DAW. So anyhow, because of that skill, I'm able to pick the sound out here. Okay, and then I can pick a melody out which best serves this particular sound. And that's what we did. So what I found was that G minor, it had the particular sound that sound best with this instrument. So, and then I was able to play it in with the proper finger weight for that particular key. So here we are. So we know what key, we found a little groove, and we're in the key of G minor. So first thing, obviously you're playing the groove. So let's take a listen. Okay, so here, let me also set this to the pattern. So yeah, we got a little groove here in G minor. And so what's happening here, how do we come up with this? So also, this is when music theory also just really helps you a lot. So basically we're in the Aeolian mode, okay, which is the mode that starts on the 6th scale degree of the major scale, of any major scale. Okay, so in this particular case, G natural would be the 6th scale degree of B flat major. So the relative major is B flat major. So they share the same scale. So a relative major to the relative minor, they both have the same scale. So B flat major scale, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, or excuse me, A natural, and then B flat, the octave. And so the thing is when you're counting a scale, in case you're wondering, as Fruity Loops always has the sharps and stuff, you never can repeat the same letter note name. So that's how you kind of know which one is going to be a flat or sharp. So if this is a B flat, and then you know this is C because C comes after, and then this is some type of D, and that's how you know this would be E flat because E comes after D. So you don't have a D and then a D sharp in the scale. They'll never have the same note name. So anyway, that's our scale, and we go to the 6th scale degree, which is G, and then there you can build out of that mode. That is the Aeolian mode. Each scale degree has a particular chord that it builds. Okay, so we can quickly go over that. And this applies to any major scale. So the first chord, if it's, we'll just stick with triads, is always major, and the 2 chord always minor, 3 minor. That's the Phrygian mode, very famous in trap and modern hip hop music. In 4th scale degree, we'll have the Lydian mode, and 5th, the Mixolydian. Here's the 6th mode, which is where we are, and that's the Aeolian mode. And here's the A natural, is the Locrian mode, it's the half diminished mode, or just a diminished triad. So now that we know our mode and everything, let's build. So how did we build this melody? So basically, you can build. This will be kind of a mode. This is a modal composition, meaning it's relying on the particular mode to conquer and develop a tonal center. And here we'll have the G minor chord. That's the chord that belongs to the mode, a minor. So on every 6th scale degree of a major scale is always minor. And we just want to build off a chord. So this is a good technique that I can show you guys, and you can use this in any mode, but it always work well in Aeolian, Phrygian, stuff like that. But you can just take the minor chord. So here's the minor chord right here, right? You spelled, and chords are built in thirds, meaning you can skip a note and go to the next one, and that's how the chords are built. And so we have a minor triad, right? So G, natural being the root. Here is the third, which is the minor third, which is the quality tone, which enables you to tell if it's minor or major. It allows you to know the quality. And then here's the perfect fifth. So that's how you build the minor triad. And inside here is an extra note, which is the 9. So we're dealing with a G minor add 9. So it is important to know harmony and stuff like that. And I am going to drop a piano for producer series as well as harmony and melody, so that way we can get you guys going on understanding this. And so you take the G minor, and we're basically just playing and adding the 9. The 9 is like a color note, it's an extension. Okay, and so we got a G minor add 9, and you're just going up the scale here. All right, so the technique of the melody played is to go up to walk up. Okay, and we're going to skip the third and leap up to the fifth, and then come back to the third. That is called note surrounding. So here's the target note. And you always want to target, I mean, you can target any type of note you would like, but targeting a color tone or a quality tone is best because it's going to be real definitive. And so here we surround our target note, and then we're going to go ahead and hit it. And it's just quick, but a note surrounding always sounds good. It's a high compositional technique that's been used since the beginning of time with the classical musicians, from Bach all the way up to Mozart and Beethoven, and then in jazz and so on and so forth. So note surrounding is a great technique. And then this can just repeat, and that's all it's doing. So you're kind of walking up, and if you notice, the second time we don't do the leap. Okay, and this adds variation within the 2 bars. That way it repeats, it doesn't become repetitive. So now that you know what's going on, let's take a listen. Okay, and to furthermore examine the melody, because learning the techniques of melody is how you will grow. And learning the techniques of composition in music, period, will allow you to dominate the music, slave the DAW, and also to dominate over your peers musically. Okay, so what is taking place here is it looks like it's kind of like ba da 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 da. So this is like your commentary here, or excuse me, your statement. So there's a quick statement, if you will, and then this is like kind of commenting behind that. Okay, so this is all technique. So here's a quick statement and then the commentary behind it. Right, quick statement. And then here's the commentary, okay? And it'll sound like that, like one person is saying this, and the next person is just commenting on this, going along with it, but kind of throwing in his 2 cents. Now that you understand that that's how this melody's working, now take a listen as you will hear the initial statement and then the commentary behind it. Okay, so these are compositional techniques. So why is this important to know? Well, here's the thing. Since the beginning of time, when you look at the great composers and things like that, they use these compositional techniques, and there's a psychology behind it as to why the human ear, it becomes very pleasant to it and common to it. So what happens when the human ear is intaking music, it kind of is used to a certain sound and pattern. So when we use these techniques that have been used in music before, it's kind of like it makes it legitimate, basically. So, and as you can see, you get something really, really nice and melodic. So now we have something melodic that's, very scientific and theoretical, and we're able to kind of move forward. Okay, so now once you have what we did here is we developed our tonal center. That's it. We basically established a quick tonal center in the key of G natural minor, which is the G Aeolian mode. And it basically tells us our tonal center will adhere to G, which will become kind of like our tonic, all right, the main central tone of this entire composition. And so basically you can kind of, at that point, everything is easy. And that's why we do that first. We set it all up. And I'll show you how, once you do that, you can conquer the rest of the composition. Now, suggestive, I believe that after that, you want to go right into the grooves. That's the whole point of doing the tonal center. The beat's already done. Okay, so I know we spend some time talking about that because that is the beat. This is the beat right here. The rest I'll show you. So, of course, let's find... here's a snare. Okay, so let's get a snare in. So to get the groove going. So there you go. Now we kind of got a nice, little groove. And if you want, I typically do the 808 next. Okay, so, but look, if you'd like, we can decorate a little bit more, say, with these hi-hats. Okay. Let's just throw some shake. This is all percussion, right? We all know how to do that. You can throw in wherever you want rhythmically the particular rhythm or groove you'd like to set. So let's just throw in a couple of these and clap. And then now we'll this will give you an idea of what your composition is going to sound like as you're going to go ahead and put the drums in. Okay, so now that that's done, you're ready to put the 808 in. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Notice that I play everything in, and it's not to say, oh, I can play the piano. No, it's a there's a compositional purpose behind that, and that is to bring life to your music. So we go over this all the time, but if I was to click in this 808 pattern, we'd have a flat line here. Okay, and that's not realistic. So if a real bass player, and you don't maybe necessarily want to, but I want, and maybe it'd be nice if you think about it, if you had your music sound close as possible to not computerized, to sounding real. And also because the other guys, until they get it together, are composing music in this type of way, you will have an advantage in it, be able to differentiate between their sound and yours. which is very, very vital as, all of us, and we continue to try to establish ourselves as individual producers. You don't want to just say, oh, I heard that before, or that sounds like this guy or that guy, and you cannot identify or distinguish between you or that guy because you guys are both clicking in your notes and all the velocities are lined up. And you guys all watch the same tutorials, same techniques, so on and so forth. So how do you separate yourself from your competition? And it's friendly competition, right? But it has to be, it's definitely, competitive out there. So with this 808, what is going on here? So we take the root note, okay? You don't always start there, but it just obviously it's always going to work. So typically you want to start your bass line on the tonic. Especially since this is modal music. In modal music, there's no chord progression to adhere to. Okay, so it's basically about a groove that you set within the mode. So using the tonic note, the central tone G, is always going to work. So we start there just to establish a strong first beat. And now there's a lot of tricks that could be done in modal music. So let's check it out. What that is that you can move around the bass, within and have fun with it, because remember, there's no chord progression. So when you move a bass note, say like G, and we go down to the sixth, it really sets a nice groove, but you don't have to kind of worry like, oh, is this the right bass note? Well, there's no chord progression. So as long as this note makes sense and sounds good within the mode, it works. Versus if we had a chord progression here, you can't just choose any bass note you want. Typically you would need the root of that chord. So this modal music just opens up your composition for freedom. Okay, so we go and basically with bass and modal music, you do implication. So you don't, like I said, there's no chord progression, but you can now imply that, hey, this is kind of the swag, but it's just so beautiful if you think about that. And that's why it's so dope, and why modal composition really works well in all of music, let alone jazz and hip hop and modern music. So, and we'll just go right back to the root. And here we can go up to the high note to suggest that it's going to hit the 4, that it's like a 4 chord. So this is all the types of fun that you can have. And we could go into deep theory as to why these bass notes work. But just, quickly, I suppose, the C chord would imply that you're on the 4 chord. Why does this work? Because the pattern was, G, A, B, flat, and D. Okay. And if you know that pattern, that's basically, if you put a C in the bass over that, you're going to have an implied C minor 13 chord. So it really gives you really nice sound. Same thing with this. If you put that over here, you're going to get a Lydian chord, which is really, really nice. Okay. You're going to get a major 7, and it's going to have the sharp 11 in and out of the melody. So this is how you get really cool. But think about it. Since there's no chord change, the music is just constantly moving and flowing, right? All right, so here we bounce back the octave, and then we do it all over again, basically. And that's that. Finally, at some point here, we use a 5th, which always going to work, which I think is really, really dope here. So switch up. This will be nice to the ears, whether they could tell or not, but it's just going down a semitone. And then finally, the 3rd of the chord at the very end. So now that we know what's going on with the bass line, let's take another listen and move forward. I don't know any producer in the world who, if they had that, their beat wasn't, it's pretty much done. So that's why we create the tonal center first, and the tonal center is important. So think about it. I know some people are thinking to themselves, well, it's always I could just, right? I could just, but yeah, I could just create a tonal center, then I know how to do it. Yeah, but with more knowledge, you'll have way more control over your tonal center, and you can kind of dictate instead of letting it dictate you. Therefore, what I'm saying is when you start to compose, you have many, many tools and options to choose from, whether what key you want to be in, and you'll know all these different tricks. So your compositions will be able to go further more in depth than your peers. And that's what you want to do. You want any advantage that you could possibly get. So anyway, with the beat pretty much being done, once you get the bass line in, I like to kind of fill in just a few more things in the drums here. So let's do that. Okay. Of course, famously, right, you drop the kick. Okay, so at this point, so what do you do next? Okay, so when you have created your tonal center, all right, and you have the groove down, we all know that for the type of music we're doing in commercial music, hip hop, trap, or whatever, um, you don't. The beat is done. The artist would have enough for them. They would like if you sent this to the artist, they could write the whole song and stuff, and you could add little background sounds and stuff like that later, and so therefore, how do you decorate and embellish this tonal center? That is pretty much the next key and the next step. How do I embellish this tonal center? How do I exploit it now that we already have it established? Okay, so and that goes back to basically music theory, going into what mode are we in? What is our tonal center? Tonal center is G minor, G Aeolian, and we are grooving off of a G minor add 9 chord. All right, and we're playing around with the bass notes a little bit, so we can stick in the realm. So our tonal center is basically a G minor add 9. Okay, so let's see what we would add. Okay, so I'll teach you guys some secrets as per usual. Every tutorial's got all the gems, right? So when you have a short noted melody, okay, where the notes are not where they're not all legato, and as you can see, there's a gap here, and also the notes are changing fast, right? So we generally have 5 notes per measure, which is a pretty decent amount of notes. So therefore, your next melody, you probably want to have what we call a long legato melody, meaning the notes are connected together. And the reason for that is because this is already moving along fast. So with the psychology of music, you want to complement that with something that's kind of slowing it down a little bit. So everything, otherwise you just have this big old fast thing and it wouldn't sound good. So we're going to go for, here you have a sudden legato melody here. All right. And let's take a listen. See how beautiful that sounds? You see how that works? So listen, I know a lot of people think, oh, music theory, I don't need. Listen, I'm showing you that look at all the psychology and concepts behind this. This is why the music sounds so good. This is why the compositions are so perfect. Yes, it does matter. These are concepts. Now, if someone decides to put a long legato melody over a shorter accompaniment type melody over their groove, they might have done it by accident. But I mean, are you knowing the knowledge behind that to where you can continuously do this at will when you want to, when it is applicable, right? So now think about it. Each thing you have, you add it as a tool to your compositional skills, and it never leaves. It's like a vault. And you can continue to use these things, and you kind of basically pick and choose. Now, when you pile these things up in your vault, when you go to make a beat, something like this beat, say if I have about 1 million different moves in my vault, I'm using, I don't know, 15, 20 just for this. So the more you know, the merrier, right? So anyway, what is going on with the long legato melody, and why do we choose this particular set of notes? And see, all of that matters. You don't want to just say, oh, hopefully I find a note that sounds good. No, you don't have to do that. You can know your theory, and it's simple. You can go right to the right notes. You don't even have to guess. There's this theory behind what notes already work, which ones to use, why, when, where, and how. So why would you want to guess and play Tetris on the piano roll just because you can? Okay? That doesn't, just like I said, we're talking about, advantages and things like that. Also, your clientele will be very pleased with your very structural music and organized music. So here, the first note is on the 9, okay? And that's because right away we're going to add color, and we're going to walk right into a quality tone. So these 2 notes are extremely important. And then it even goes right into another color note. So this whole thing is all based on color, the first half of the phrase, okay? And because why? Because with the color note, and then and it's also adding strength because we have the quality tone, and then here we have the 11, which is another color note, and then back to the 9. So this is going to all be colorful, and you need to present that. That's how you embellish it. We're talking embellishments. You don't want to overemphasize an element of the composition that has already been implied, suggested, or presented. So in the second half, here, what we do, this is going to be called a sequence. Okay, so why is this a sequence? This is a melodic sequence because look at the shape. this is the exact same, isn't it? Only difference is it's moved to a different step. Okay, so this is a melodic sequence. It's also a diatonic sequence, meaning that the sequence is within the key, right? So this is a line that works, that is all notes from the G minor Aeolian mode. So we just basically take that down, and now what we're rocking with is a fifth. But look, we're going up, okay, to the minor sixth, which is a very, very big deal. So once again, we're getting a lot of color in here. We even have the F very quickly, but it suggests quickly a minor 7. So look how you start off, building, and it seems like it's just a minor triad, but look, we're already making it. We got 11s suggested in and out. We got 9s reinforced, and we have 13s, flat 13s right here reinforced as well, or minor 6, flat 13. So, and also the minor 7. So basically we have already touched on the entire extension of the minor chord. In the mode, we've touched all of it just like that. So think about it. You can cover important parts of composition with your knowledge if you have the knowledge. Okay, so ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. So this is kind of like a call and response type thing. Here's your call. That's what they had to say. Well, how are you going to respond to that? How about okay? So, and here it's good to use rest. Shout out Thelonious Monk, the master of rest in music, the master of all time. Okay, so yeah, it's good to have a little break. You don't need to fill up every measure. Okay, so it's good to end a phrase and have it what you call a rest. This is a rest, and this is one full measure rest. All right, so we have that done, and we're pretty much in a good place. So let's see if we get the screen bigger. Okay. Yeah, that made it a little bit bigger. Okay, so what do we have now? What we like to do is we would like to add and continue to, I guess, embellish our melody. So here's a little bell just for texture. So let's talk about that. So texture, typically when you have a beat that's full like this, which it is, it's extremely full. We want to go for texture, basically. So with texture, it's not about a melody or anything like that. It's a particular sound you pick out that's going to kind of smoothen out things or add to or whatever you want to do texture wise. So here we just add a little bell. Here's a second bell. Okay, so you see that added presence. Here we're going to do a imitation. So this is nice. Here we add a little function of the melody, okay, and that comes from the back end of the legato strings. But on the front part, we're just going to go ahead and begin a 2D really quickly, which means that you're playing the exact same notes of the melody. So we're going to do it 2D here with the melody. Okay, so this all adds texture, basically. Okay, so we're pretty much done here. You can throw in these legato strings come in at a different particular point in time, but here's some more. But they wouldn't play at the same time. So we'll cover that in the mapping part, because they wouldn't not be played at the same time. Or here, let's just go ahead and take that out. So also with these skills of composition, you can begin to create different melodies and different sounds and different parts that aren't in at the same time as another sound. So here we can do another legato string to bring in at a different particular point of time when the composition is being played. Alright, so here's more of a spookier type of melody here. So we go back to the minor third and then walk down. The minor seconds is what is helping causing that, and then the interval of a minor third here. Okay, and then we have the color note again at the end. So as you see, it's just going over the different notes, but it's just different techniques and patterns that you can use. And then there's a piano part here. Just once again, it's all about texture. The main parts of the composition already been done. Okay. So here is just a little texture and more adding a little support. Okay, so what is happening here? Here, as you can see, this is just a minor triad. You're playing, getting a little harmony in there. So this is the cool part about modal music, is when you do add harmony, it's not a chord progression, right? You can throw in chords wherever you want, and it's not adhering to a chord progression, so it sounds pretty cool when you're adding in that type of texture. Here's a minor chord, and then it's going to go right into kind of like notes from the Lydian here, suggesting kind of like a sixth, but more or less diminish as well. So it's kind of in there. So at this point, you can play certain notes. Like I said, these are not chord. This is a chord, but this is not a chord. This is me just harmonizing here. Okay. And yeah, so here's that. And it sounds really, really good. And at the end, we change it up a little bit with the minor chord. This time we'll open up the interval. Instead of going down, descending semitone, we'll go up a whole step to C and then back to A. All right, so that's that. Here's just the pad that you'll see is just used. This is a pedal point pad. If you guys know, I covered pedal point almost 3 years ago in tutorials. You can go watch that Metro Boomin tutorial. It talks about a pedal point right in the beginning. And that's pretty much it. So with that, we can now go into the composition of the mapping out and just listen to it and just see that, with all these elements, you can see how it's mapped out. And yeah, this is, how you complete a beat. This is more or less a simple beat, right? It's not meant. Now, I know you see a lot of tracks here. You're thinking, well, how simple is it? But as you can see, a lot of it's not going on at once. These are just all texture. So when you see this is not an overfilled beat with too much sounds. It's just a lot of textures. As you'll see when the beat plays, most of the stuff's not going on at the same time. If they are, there's certain rhythm spots that I'm picking. It's all compositional. So anyway, let's take a listen and then look out for when the sudden legato melody and the legato strings come in and the piano, just textures, and get the feel down. right, so there you have it. That's the composition in itself. So yeah, full composition. This is one that is still simple, as you can see. Just like I said, don't be thrown off. The tracks are all texture, and as you saw, it did none. It was very quick spots. If you look here, just pick through, and there's none of this stuff is lingering around. There's a lot of space used, and that's also techniques that you could add. It's a little deeper than that, the concept, but you can begin to start thinking about that, about using multiple sounds and still but still keeping the beat simple, but just picking, like for instance, you might pick one sound just for one spot, literally one note, just for texture. It's called texture. So anyhow, that is the composition. Glad you guys made it. Those who did make it to the end of the video. There's a lot of knowledge in there to learn about just modal music, tonal center, how to start a beat off, and kind of the possibilities that you have when you are aware of music theory and stuff like that. So we do this for SPAnonMusicSchool of Music. So that is a full comprehensive music school, nonprofit, for I guess catering towards producers. It's a full realm, right? Music education, going over fundamentals of music, piano class and theory, and composition, production class, analyzing music. So, beat analyzation. We always talk about music business and just pretty much everything. It covers everything you need to know. The purpose of the school created was so that help people have a career in music, because just making beats is not necessarily a career in music. There's so many different things that could be done to generate revenue, which is the goal. Who wouldn't want to live off music? So if you put all your eggs in one basket, it's gonna it's not really really smart, and things could get a little difficult for you. So that is the whole point. So anyway, we'll let you guys go. But yeah, if you want to more information on school, or if you want to join, then emails SPAnonMusicSchool@gmail.com. And yeah, we'll set you up an interview and a consultation. We want to make sure we're not just looking. It's not about money, so we're not here to it's not about just accepting money. So we want to make sure that it's the right thing for you and it's the best thing for you. So I'll give you a free consultation and speak with you and see where you at and what exactly your musical goals and aspirations are, and as they pertain to having a career in music. And then we'll see if it's like a good fit for you, and if it is, it'll be the best place for you. We're having a lot of success right now with our guys. So anyway, peace and blessings. Maestro SP is out.